Well, good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock in Corona. Welcome you all to this beautiful, yet rainy Valentine's evening get-together. For me, it was a great day. Hopefully for you too, it was fantastic. And with that same spirit, it's my pleasure really to invite Troop 34 to provide for us the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag ceremony. So, Christian Park will follow his lead.
Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Color guard prepare to post colors. Post colors. Troop salute. All those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart.
Please rise.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Audience may be seated. Color guard group. Color guard dismissed.
This time, I'd like to invite our commissioners to join myself down on the floor here. We'll take some photographs with the troop. That's okay with you? Thank you very much for being part of this. Thank you so much. Again, thanks, Troop 34, for being a part of our program tonight. The idea is to have a troop from the area do opening ceremony once per month. So next month could be, well, I'd like to have my other troop here, Troop 421, and then in April have Troop 523, which is sponsored by the fire department here in town also. So hopefully the whole year we'll have a different troop, different scoutmaster. So thank you again. This time we're going to have a roll call.
Commissioner Wentworth,
Present.
Commissioner Kinney,
Present.
Commissioner Veretti,
Present.
Chair Munoz,
Present.
and Vice Chair Olson.
Present.
Thank you very much. This time, I'd like to ask if we had an opportunity yet to review the meeting minutes from the last 2 months, from October 26, 2022, and January 10th, 2023. And if so, would you like to make any changes from October 26, 2022? This was a carryover from last month.
Chair Munoz, I just wanted to remind that on the minutes of October 26, 2022, the only commissioners that are able to vote on that is yourself, Commissioner Wentworth, and Commissioner Veretti, because you were the only ones in attendance for that meeting. And then everyone can vote on the meeting of January 10th.
Correct.
I motion to approve the minutes for the October 26, 2022 meeting.
A second.
Do we need to do a verbal vote?
No, we're going to use the computers today.
Okay, so I'm going to wait for the motion to appear, because I don't have a,
No, just the voting. The voting should have appeared.
okay, I don't see anything. Okay, my screen just isn't going to have it. So I'll give you my verbal vote is yes.
Commissioner Veretti?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I will motion for the approval of the minutes for the Parks and Recreation meeting on January 10th, 2023.
I have one comment on that, though, on page 3. And about halfway down, talks about Thursday, February 4th for the Ladders and Linguini. And it's actually, I believe, February 23rd.
Thank you, Chair Munoz. We'll make that correction. Can we amend your motion to be a motion with the correction?
Certainly. I will motion to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation meeting on January 10th, 2023, with the amended date for the Ladders and Linguini to February 23rd.
I second that.
Are we still having technical difficulties with the voting?
I think I am.
Okay, so why don't you just give your verbal vote?
My verbal vote is yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Passes.
Your mic is off.
Next is consent calendar. We've all had opportunity, I believe, to review those items on the calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
I will make a verbal vote for myself. I vote yes.
Vice Chair Olson?
Yes.
And Commissioner Veretti?
Yes.
Consent passes. So moving on to communications from the public. This portion of the agenda is intended for general public comment only on items within the Commissioner's jurisdiction that are listed or not listed on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the Parks and Recreation Commission are requested to identify themselves and state the matter on which they wish to comment. No action will be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Please observe a 3-minute limit for communications. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
Yes, sure, we do have a speaker card.
Okay, it's from John E. Fink. Please come forward.
Good evening. I was just wondering, where are you at with plans for the city park? I mean, you seems like we've been planning for 3 years now and nothing's done. Where are you at with it? What do you plan to do? Do you have any idea yet?
Dr. Turner.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fink, for your question. We are in the midst of the City Park Master Plan, which will be concluded in June of this year. It'll be delivered to the City Council. We've had multiple outreach events at City Park. We also have an online survey that if you would like to participate in, we'd love to hear what you'd like to see at City Park. We will have a report to the City Council coming in March. And so that will come to the Committee of the Whole if you'd like to see where we are in those plans. Our consultants, RJM, will be presenting to the Council at that March meeting. And the entire completed master plan with timeline for moving forward with construction and rehabilitation will be delivered in June.
So you're not gonna know anything until June? Like when you're gonna start anything?
All of that is available online. If you go onto the Community Services website and you look at the City Park Master Plan, it'll give you the timeline of everything we've done up until this point and what we're going to be doing moving forward.
Okay, what are your plans for swimming lessons this summer?
Swimming lessons this summer are with the YMCA, and they are at Auburndale Pool, which is the only pool that we currently have open. The City Park pool is closed right now.
Why don't they use the school pools? Because I know that they've done that in the past.
We have put all of our swim lessons. We have worked with our partner, the YMCA, for swim lessons. And so I know that they are looking at adding additional swim lessons at the school pools. So you can go on the YMCA website and see all of their plans for what swim lessons are offered this summer. We are working with the Y to offer our swim lessons.
Yeah, because it seems like every year there's more kids that want to take the lessons than we have space for. I mean, we haven't had lessons for the last two or 3 years, so I'm sure it'll be very busy this year. And not to change topics, your youth athletics program. I've talked to many parents that have had their kids in it. None of them have positive things to say about it. They all say the people are you're unable to get a hold of people. No one knows who's in charge, and it seems extremely disorganized. I mean, I coach for NJB now. I've coached for the city many years, but I coach for NJB now. We had 950 kids in Corona NJB this year, and the city had, 200? And NJB, I mean, you see, not the bars, but you see, I feel the city sports is an opportunity for parents that can't afford because NJB costs like $300 a kid. And if you put your kids into a travel ball, that costs $200 a month. But see, city sports for kids that want to play, but don't have the opportunity to because they can't afford it. Or the parents don't want to. Travel them all over, and travel ball they aren't at that level yet. And I've talked to a lot of people that I talk to don't even know that the city offers a program. It's not. I've always told them, well, you have to go on the website. If you go on Google and enter Corona Youth Basketball, it doesn't come up. It comes up something from 2019 or something. Pictures, there's nothing comes up. I have found the site, but it's difficult to get to. And many of the youth sports programs are like that. And all the times I've dealt with people, and I've talked to other parents too, to make sure it's not me. The people are very hard to get a hold of. You call and leave messages, and they don't return your call. You call and email, and they don't return your email. The only way I got an email was because I called Sadie, and then Sadie talked to the man in charge, and then he emailed me back.
Well, I'm sorry about that experience. Mr. Jason Lass is our manager of recreation, and so Mr.
I know
Fink,
who.
if you would like to make contact with Jason, we can get some more comments. Your 3 minutes for comment is up. If you'd like to get my card, I'd be happy to give it to you, and we can have a conversation offline, unless you had another question before you wanted to sit down.
That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. Ms. Vargas, are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Thank you. Now for the exciting part is the youth update. Report by Teen Advisory Council.
They are not here with us tonight.
Darn it, I was hoping to get that. It's every month it's exciting to hear what's going on with the youth. I mean, it's just so exciting, so full of spirit. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public on the subject?
No, Chair,
Are there any written comments from the public?
no written comments.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would normally be asking Commissioner Wentworth for any comments that she may have on the subject.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kinney? No? Commissioner Reddy?
No, I don't.
And Vice Chair Olson?
No comments, thank you.
And myself? No. This time I'd like to have Director Dr. Turner provide us a report.
Well, good evening, Commission, and I'm just going to start with Happy New Year. I didn't get to see you in January, so Happy New Year. I hope you all had very good holidays, and we are excited to share with you the momentum and all of the exciting things that are happening in community services. So let me start tonight by talking a little bit about the Corona Public Library. The library's calendar for February events is out right now. And Love is in the Air. Our park rangers were supposed to give a guided tour at Mountain Gate Park today, but unfortunately with the rain, that was canceled. But you can, on a regular basis, get to our park once a month, and our park rangers will do a guided story time with you where they will take you and the children, and they will walk around the story time at Mountain Gate Park and read that to you. And any day, you are welcome to go to Mountain Gate Park, and you can use either our dial-in, which will allow you to be read the story in either English or Spanish, or you can go around and walk with your child and do the story that way. There's tons of improvements happening at the library this month. We're going to do some new cleaning up the landscaping. We're going to take up the canopy on those trees out in front so we've got a better visual. We're going to get some lights going, signage, and new mulch. So the next time you go to the Corona Public Library, it should be looking all fresh and nice for you. This is the best news ever. We were so sad to see Abby retire in December, and it's been a huge loss for us. And I have been kind of 1 foot in the library and 1 foot in City Hall since she left. But we are excited today that today is day number 2 for Danielle Whittington, who is our new library manager. And she will have 100% of her time at the library. She comes to us from Fuller Theological Seminary. An exciting fact about Danielle is that Danielle has opened school libraries, one in Kuala Lumpur and one in South Africa. And she is very exciting. She has 2 master's degrees, one in history and one in library and information science, and we are thrilled to have her join us. I really want to do a special shout out to Viola Van and Christina Smith, who have been holding up the ship over at the library until Danielle could get here to us, and we are thrilled to have her here. And as Chair Munoz said, Ladders and Linguini, it's exciting. I'll be there. I hope you will be there as well. It's going to start at 6 o'clock. It's on February the 23rd. They have tickets for $55 and $300 for a table of 6. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the Friends of the Library. love to have your support to come out. And it will be Danielle's first Ladders and Linguini and her first event here in Corona. So please don't hesitate to introduce yourself. We want to make sure she gets a warm Corona welcome. Black History Month. It is very exciting. I'm going to turn it over to Jason Last to tell us a little bit more about this event.
Thank you, Ann. Yes, I couldn't be more proud of what we've been doing with the Community Conversations series. It's hard to believe that it's already been a year now. And here we are, once again, we'll be celebrating Black History Month on Thursday, February 16th. And our theme for this presentation is the experience and the culture. Two very different concepts. And when you come to this presentation, you're going to learn a lot more about that. With our panel, as well as our moderator, Commissioner Veretti, who will be joining us for that. And that'll be this Thursday, February 16th, here in the council chamber. And you can RSVP for that online through the city website. So don't miss out. These conversations are so powerful, and you learn and gain so much from them. And then I just have one other quick update, something I'm really excited about. I believe our Historic Civic Center Theater is just an absolute gem in this community. I've had the pleasure of taking a few different friends and having different contractors come through to look at the space. And I think everyone's just blown away and surprised that this exists here in Corona. Not everyone, people who live here even know this is here. So this year we are celebrating its 100th anniversary. And a few fun facts you might not know is it was partially designed by G. Stanley Wilson, an exceptional architect who helped design the Riverside, or portions of the Riverside Mission Inn. It opened in 1923, September, and it served as Corona's second high school at the time. Later on, it served as Corona City Hall from 1962 to 2005, and now it currently houses a number of nonprofit partners and it continues to provide the community arts and culture. So as we are gearing up for our fiscal year budget season, we want to be very intentional about making sure we sustain and celebrate this sacred space here in our community. And to do that, we're going to be building towards a centennial celebration. We hope to do a kickoff program that will take place maybe around September. We wanted to showcase many of our unique performers and have an opportunity to invite the community to come and explore this unique space. Also, intentionally building a little bit of maybe a season to the year too, so we can showcase some of our performance groups, but also supplement with some unique programs and experiences you might not otherwise see. Like think, presentations, maybe concert, even film series. We are going to be doing some infrastructure improvements. That includes the grounds as well as the theater, just to make sure that we can sustain and maintain that space for generations to come. And of course, I have to mention, we are working on that performing arts feasibility study. So we did get all of our bids back for that. We did review, and we will be making a recommendation to the commission as soon as March. And that's really going to guide our intentional use of not only the HCC, but also exploring, do we want to go bigger and bolder for different performing arts spaces in the future. So a lot of exciting things to come here in Corona. And I'll pass over to my colleague, Moses.
Thank you, Jason, and good evening, Commission. I have a couple updates to provide you guys. First one, oops, I need to fast forward here. No. There we go. Is on the master plan update, and as Ann kind of teased up a minute ago, we do have all the master plans going. So we have the City Park Master Plan, which is well underway, and we'll actually be, as Ann mentioned, doing a presentation to council on March 1st, and then delivering a completed package in June. We also have the Trails Master Plan, which we've been meeting with our Trails Working Group on a regular basis, and that one is actually scheduled to be delivered in August. That one's well underway as well, and we'll be presenting a City Council update prior to the delivery as well. And lastly but not least, the big one is our City Parks, our Corona Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We just actually had a collaborative meeting with all three consultants on February 7th, where we were able to share ideas and make sure that all the master plans feel and look the same, that they are going to have the same delivery. And we also met with our sports leagues. They play a huge part in the use of our parks. They're there and they see a different perspective than we would. We've done some key stakeholders interviews. We did our surveys, but we really wanted to reach out to them and get their feedback to ensure that their voice is being heard, since they are a key player and are on our parks probably more than anybody, and we just wanted to get their feedback. So we had some really, really great meetings this past month. Like I said, with all the consultants and with our youth groups. So that was really, really valuable feedback that we were able to get from them. And we also have been out doing some maintenance in our parks. So as you're out and about, you might see some new play fiber out in our parks. So far, we've done Sheridan, Rimpau, and Stagecoach. We're going to go to Service Club Park next, and then after that, we'll be heading out to Eagle Glen Park. So you might see our crews out there. If we do, they'll say hi. But we just want to kind of provide you some maintenance updates. And with that, I will turn it back over to Ann.
So we had our Corona Beautiful Trail cleanup on Saturday, and it was amazing. We had about 55 volunteers show up. It was a beautiful day. The weather couldn't have been better. We had a great opportunity to engage with the public, so not only with our volunteers, but with people who were coming to hike Skyline, to do some trails surveying with them. You know, where do they live? How often do they come to the trails? What trails do they use? What would they like to see? We got just about 70 responses of surveys that day, plus we've been doing mailings and other outreach pieces. And so one of the key pieces for all of our master plans is that these are community-driven plans. This isn't us coming in with a consultant saying this is what we think would be great for Corona. We're engaging with the Trails Working Group every single month. We have done really targeted outreach around City Park, both with pop-up events and with mailers. We have statistically significant responses for City Park. And with the Trails Master Plan, again, we're working with that working group. The City Park, we will probably have at least one more kind of community engagement event this spring, and as soon as that's scheduled, we'll be happy to let you know and would love for you to join us there. For those of you who joined us for the pop-up we had in the fall, it was a really successful event, and we got some really important feedback. So we're very pleased about that. And this is the most exciting thing. I see some of my friends in the audience who were with me on Saturday when, let's see if I can get this to move forward. I can't. There we go. And played pickleball. So I want to thank very much the lovely folks at the courts at Border. I went after the cleanup and played some pickleball. And thank you, Mike, for the beautiful picture of me actually making this very strange face and hitting the pickleball. But it was a lovely day out at the courts, a little bit windy, which was challenging for the pickleball players. I did not engage in a full game because I was just working on getting the ball and the racket to meet each other. But I did have, I was able to volley the ball around, and it's just really lovely and inspiring to see how much those courts are being used and how many people are coming out and how many events there are there. I got some really important feedback from players, and Mike left me with some feedback, and we will incorporate all of that feedback into all of the community-driven comments that we have for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So that was a really productive day, and thank you for being such generous hosts. And my clicker isn't working, so can you hit it, Moses? Thank you. So what's happening now? So I just want to say that please come and join the city on Saturday, March 18th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Citrus Park. We are going to celebrate Arbor Day and Earth Day, and we are going to have a proclamation for Arbor Day, and we are doing our Tree-tacular Park Takeover, and this is really exciting. If you haven't been to one of these, we hope you'll come. There's lots going on. There's lots of information about sustainability, there's information booths, there's face painting, interactive games. We're going to have food vendors. We will have a bounce house and a rock wall, and my most favorite that is unique to Corona is we will have March Mulch Madness. And you can drive through and grab some mulch, because who doesn't want more mulch for their house? So you can come through and get some mulch. We'll be doing some tree planting. And we will also be doing specific and targeted outreach for our master plan documents. Can you hit that one more time for me? Thank you. And lastly, we just want to talk about what's going to be coming up on the city council tomorrow night, just to keep the commission aware. We are not going to be bringing our on-call landscaping services. Unfortunately, we have a few more things we need to do to that presentation before it's ready to go, so that will actually go on March 1st. We do have our zero-emission bus plan for Corona Transit, so you say, that sounds riveting, Ann. It is actually riveting. We are complying with the state mandate that we have to be a zero emission by 2040, which means that none of our buses can run on gasoline. And boy, that's exciting because we have a whole fleet right now that runs on gasoline. So we were looking at options of whether those be electric options or hydrogen fuel. So if you are interested in either learning more about electric vehicles or hydrogen fuel, this is the presentation for you. And it will be given from RCTC and their consultant, and they will share with us some of the ways. Our first procurement, which will be next year, we can no longer procure vehicles that run on gasoline, so we'll have to choose kind of what the next vehicles. We do need to replace 2 vehicles next fiscal year. So we'll be understanding that. And then RCTC will give a plan for the region of how RCTC is going to go with zero emission. So it actually should be a pretty exciting presentation. We're also going to have a public hearing on CDBG. So we have lots of money in, not lots of money in CDBG, but we have had money in CDBG, and it has mostly been used for rental assistance. People have needed that, just, you know, that very short-term sort of rental assistance to help them along. And then we had money that was set aside in this particular, because this was COVID-related CDBG funding. We had money that was set aside for businesses to be able to buy PPE or protective equipment for COVID. We never really had anybody use that. They kind of had their own pathways and their own ways to get that PPE, so they never really needed that money from us. So we'll come back to council and ask them one more time to take money from that PPE fund and put it in where we believe it can be used the most successfully by the residents of Corona, which is in that rental assistance area. So that will be coming up. And then the exciting spring financial workshop. Who doesn't love to spend a whole day with the city council talking about money? So the spring financial workshop will be on Thursday, April 13th, and it will start at 9 a.m. And we will be bringing very specific items there. We will be bringing 2 items specifically to that. We will be bringing an item around the LMDs, and I know that the commission had some questions about the LMDs. So that will be the presentation that will give you all the information about what's happening with our landscape maintenance districts, and you can hear that with the council on April 13th. And we will be bringing a park ranger update also at that meeting. So love to have you there. If you can't make the meeting, please wait for the agenda to be published, and then we'd love to have your public comment. If you have anything to say about those items. And let's see if I can get it. Nope, Moses got it. And that's the end of my presentation. We have got a lot going on, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ann. As always, a fantastic presentation by our Dr. Turner and Mr. Lass and Mr. Cortez. I walk away listening to you. I'm not worn out, but I'm just excited about that. I love the program. So, as always, Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public on this subject?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
Are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no.
Okay. Commissioner Wentworth, do you have any comments?
Thank you. Thank you for that excellent report. I just wanted to clarify just quickly for myself and for the public that you were moving forward in June to do a full report for the City Park Master Plan to City Council? Okay. And it's coming before the commission in which month? If it's going to City Council in June, we'll be seeing it
May.
in May. Okay, just want to make sure. And then,
And that's the delivery, Commissioner Wentworth. It is not, It is not an update. There will be an update that goes to the Committee of the Whole. That will go, I believe, this March. It goes in March to the Committee of the Whole. That's just an update on where we are on the plan. Then we will come to Commission in May for you all to hear what we are doing with the delivery of the plan, and that will be in draft form. And then we will be taking it to the council for the council to adopt the plan in June.
Okay, so June's, okay. And then the Trails Master Plan, I have down that you were going to the City Council in July, August. Okay, so you'll be coming to Parks in July.
Yes, or we will have to have a special meeting in August, because the challenge for us is that July is July 4th, and we also we'll be beginning our big summer events. And so often in July, the commission is dark, so we'll probably look for a special meeting in August to talk with you about the Trails Master Plan.
Okay, and then the Parks Master Plan, let's see, what were your months again for your, September? Okay.
And so we would come to you early in September. We would deliver late in September to the City Council for adoption.
Okay, thank you on that. I get questions about when that's coming around. I was trying to write really fast, but I wasn't sure I had it all down. Okay. I just want to say good job playing pickleball as well. I went over to the courts in the morning, but I wasn't going to play in the afternoon. Anyway, it's been quite crowded over there on the weekends. I was there 2 Saturdays ago, and I counted 68 people myself, and I played for roughly 2.5 hours. And then when I went last weekend, it wasn't as crowded, but they were having an event in the afternoon, so it looked like it was spread out more. On top of that, I was late. Normally, I would get there at like 7:30, and I was getting there after the trail cleanup. I got there at noon, something like that. So anyway, I just want to say welcome to the fold there. And that players want Moses to know that they are looking forward to having the courts painted. They reiterated that to me this week, and hopefully maybe getting that done at the same time that we're working on the lighting, if that can all be incorporated in. Everybody's on standby, ready to assist you with taping, just to let you know. All right. Okay, that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wentworth. Commissioner Kinney.
Thank you all for your contributions to the presentation. I do have a few questions. On the play fiber that you've put in those parks, what kind of material is that? And I know it's only been a couple of weeks since they've been in there, but as far as holding up, because we've had some really strong winds and we have had some wonky weather, I mean, how do you foresee the performance of that material?
So it typically doesn't blow away, but we do replenish it approximately every 1.5 to a couple of years. It has to be topped off depending on how much usage it gets. It's a virgin wood fiber, so it is wood, but it's harvested from a special type of wood, and it's approved to meet the industry standard for no splinters and meet all the fall requirements. So that's the kind of fiber we put in.
Okay, great, thank you. And then the pickleball, I know that's a great success and a lot of people are happy about it. I get a little worried because I'm not sure when those tennis courts were originally built that was envisioned to get so much use, and how is it impacting the neighborhoods as far as parking? And have you had any people reach out and say, hey, there's a problem here?
So I haven't had complaints yet from the neighbors. I'm sure that will come. We do have quite a few folks there, as Commissioner Wentworth said, and they are parking. So while we still have our tennis courts on Mangular for those that want to play tennis without any striping, the border courts are now all striped for pickleball. And so when there's 68 people, there's 68 cars, and you can only park on one side of border. So as that continues to be popular and as those courts continue to be used, we will have to look at parking as a part of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, how we might address parking for those courts, because I don't think it was ever intended that we were going to have, 68 people on the courts at the same time. Obviously, tennis is usually 1 or 2 people, on each side. Pickleball is definitely 2 people on each side, so it makes a big difference.
Okay, thank you. It's a great thing, and I don't want it to turn into a bad thing.
Yes, we're very well aware, both from pickleball sharing with us that they're concerned about what's happening with the parking and how far away people are needing to park. But they can only park on one side of the street, so the neighborhood is on the side of the street that they cannot park on. They park on the park side of the street. So at this point, I haven't had specific complaints from neighbors, but as it grows, I would imagine, and as it sort of takes up the whole street, we may get some complaints. So we're definitely looking at how to create some strategies around parking for pickleball.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one last comment, and it's in regards to the PPE funds and such. And I don't have a problem with it going into rental assistance, but as a business owner, I can tell you that there was no outreach or information sent out that was even really available. And so, God forbid we ever have another pandemic, but if we do, there might be a better approach in how to handle that.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. That's really helpful for us. I know that we had a campaign. Obviously, it was prior to me being here that came right in 2020, and I didn't get here till December of 2020 when that program was already sort of winding up a bit. But yeah, I think that we have learned a lot through the pandemic about how to do outreach, and especially how to do outreach to our businesses. Since that time, our communications team has grown from 1 person to like 6 people. We have a much bigger presence on social media. We know how to do targeted mailing in a way that we just didn't know how to do in 2020. So I do believe if we had another program like this, the outreach would be much stronger, and we would partner for sure with the chamber to make sure all of our Corona businesses were aware that that funds were available. But that's helpful feedback. Yeah, no, the economic development team has actually lists of all the businesses. We do usually, I know in 2020, we used the chamber almost quite a bit to get that message out. And so for businesses that are not members of the chamber, that obviously was a much more challenging message to get. So we will be cognizant of that moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Kinney. Commissioner Verity?
I don't have any questions. I do have some comments. The Tree-tacular event last year, Tom and I were part of that. It was rad. All I ask is that you bring the Bobcat out again and help us dig those holes. We started out digging ourselves and realized we were in for a long day. But yeah, definitely, I support that event. It's awesome. I'm excited for it. The pickleball, it looks like a blast. I have no idea how to play, but if you ever need a partner and someone brings oxygen, I'm totally down.
Look, I didn't know how to play either. The people are lovely. They hand you a racket. They talk to you about the kitchen. They'll
hand
hook
you a
you up.
paddle. They hand you a paddle.
A paddle.
I'm in. But great report. That's all I have so far. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Verity. Commissioner and Vice Chair Olson.
Thank you, and thank you for a terrific report. I do have a couple of questions. For the library, I noticed it said that Danielle will be able to spend 100% of her time there. What was the situation before?
So when I came here in December of 2020, Abby had been here for, by that time, about 15 years. And I really needed to have some help. She was also, the position is different. So Abby was the Assistant Director of Community Services and the City Librarian. And so she split her time between City Hall and the library. For the library trustees and the Friends of the Library, they really wanted to have somebody who was sitting in that office 100% of the time. I mean, and obviously nobody is, right? She has meetings over, God bless you, at City Hall and other places. But it was really important for them to have somebody physically who was the person in charge at the library. And so one of the things we considered as we filled the position when Abby left was that we would have a library manager, much like we have a recreation manager and a manager of facilities, parks and trails, and a community assistance manager, and that person would be stationed primarily at the library.
Perfect. No, it sounds like it's like surprising to me to hear that we didn't have that before. So that's terrific to hear that we'll have that. Looking forward to Ladders and Linguini and the conversations this Thursday with Commissioner Veretti moderating that panel. Super excited to hear that we're really looking at the Historic Civic Center as a community icon and something that we're looking to preserve into the future and not let to fall into disrepair, because that is really a cool icon for our city. So it's very cool to hear that we're going to carry the history into the future. I did have a couple of questions on the play fiber installs. I did take a trip back to Stagecoach Park over the weekend, saw it, and I saw all the trees that were there too. That's awesome. That it desperately needed it there, so it's good to see that. What are the other play surface options that are out there? I know some parks have a rubberized surface. Are there plans to upgrade this at some point in the future, or are we just going to kind of re-up the play fiber over time?
So a lot of that will be included in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So right now, we're keeping things status quo and making sure we're meeting our safety requirements. The fiber does meet ADA requirements to get a wheelchair to the play structure. And as we're doing our ADA upgrades over a 5-year period, right now we're entering into our 3rd year of 5. And as we do those upgrades, we're putting in pour-in-place rubber surfacing to either the entire surface or to portions of it. Primarily around the major items like the slide and the playground or the swing set. So that's all incorporated in that, but the master plan will outline all that.
Thank you for that. Welcome to pickleball. First time? No way. That's cool. That's a lot of fun.
Now, I've made a lot of pickleball courts,
There
but
you go.
this was the first time actually playing on one of the courts that we helped create. So.
That's awesome. I got to get out there and play it myself. Border, the program at Border was kind of a pilot, wasn't it? Kind of a, let's just see how this goes. Are there plans to, now that it's kind of gained serious steam, to expand that or look at other places to do that? Or is that, again, like a master plan sort of item?
So it's a master plan item for sure. It was really exciting for me to come to Corona because we were talking about pickleball, and I had just worked on creating a pickleball court in my previous community. But it was time. I mean, we know we want to do this at Border. We know we want to make that available. But we've gotten lots of feedback in our surveys around pickleball, and we want to just make sure, the key for us in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan is inclusivity and equity, right? So that every quadrant of our city has like amenities, so that if you lived in Northeast Corona, you didn't have less access to parks, open space, and amenities than you did if you lived in Southwest Corona. So we really want to make sure that across the board, Coronans have access to parks, open spaces, and amenities. So every amenity, whether it be pickleball or pump tracks or skate parks or all the wonderful people who have come out and met with us and told us all the things we need to put in the parks, we want to make sure that we are taking that into consideration. We're working with that as a part of the surveying process, and we want to make sure that it's equitable throughout the city.
Thank you for that. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll go briskly through my comments and thoughts, but starting from the top, I love the calendar. It just shows opportunities. It shows involvement by the youth and teens and vets, especially vets, and then the Rangers and art classes and things of that sort. It's fantastic. I like the idea about volunteer orientation, always good. And then, as mentioned before, Danielle's going to have a fun time here in Corona, and we're going to learn a lot from her with her background, it seems. And then Linguini, I'm already hungry. And then Black History Culture, our esteemed commissioner will be a master MC at night. But last year we were at the other one that we had with the Latinos, and he says he's up for a challenge, so that's good though. But it's all fun and it's exciting and it's a learning experience. I will learn a lot about myself at both the Latino one and also the Black American. Always good to upgrade myself. Looking ahead, I believe what you said, Vice Chair, about the iconic. I think it'd be nice to have the whole city come have some involvement with being iconic, with adapting what's been done before. You really can't go back and resurrect what's been destroyed or taken down or demolished in the past, the Carnegie Hall, for example, but you can resurrect the idea of what it talked about, the personality of the history of Corona. I think we need to express that more in our thoughts. And then I think Commissioner Wentworth talked about the master plans update. And then two things here. The play fiber, I'm really not into play fiber, to tell you the truth, Mr. Cortez. And so, but we can talk about that offline. Because every city's going with the rubberized surfacing. And I do enough parks on my own that tells me fiber is not the place to be. And I love the cleanup. I love the look over here and the girl on the right-hand side. What's that? Look there. Pretty cool. And then pickleball. If you didn't notice this trophy in Ann's hand, it says Girl Power. It should say Dr. Ann Power there, but yeah, that's it. So I used to live down around the corner. So my one thought is that we used to live in a house by Brentwood, and every night they heard ka-ching, ka-ching, the basketball backboard being hit. Ka-ching, ka-ching. So this morning, I went online and listened to what people are doing in Carlsbad. They have brand new pickleball courts, much like we do here. And the big thing there, the whispers in the air about noise. So is there any thought about noise factors in the house that are around on the south side of the pickleball courts and the north side of the pickleball courts and the east side? The west side, you have the park, so there's no noise problem there, but I'm sure there will be some thoughts about that in the near future from people who live in the area. So it's happening in Carlsbad, some brand new courts, and everyone's having fun, but the noise is
So again, I think all of the things about pickleball that are terrific is that it's growing and people are enjoying it. And we are aware that we may have complaints from residents. I don't have any right now. And we will look at the best practices. We are headed as a team to the California Parks and Recreation Society Conference. We have lots and lots. There's actually going to be an entire session on pickleball there. So we will hope to learn from our colleagues what the best practices are, both around parking mitigation, sound, all of those kinds of things, and how to, construct courts so that they are as integrated into the community and not a nuisance as possible.
fantastic. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the anniversaries. I'm looking forward to the anniversary for the iconic historical civic center / high school, but I guess we can move on now. I really want to hear about park rangers, so Mr. Cortez and outdoor reservations.
City Chair, we did receive one more
sorry, yeah.
speaker card for the director's report.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm crazy here.
Hi, I had a question about the fiber trees, and during the parks, if that's is it like a permanent thing, or are you guys gonna add rubber eventually?
Eventually, all our new parks
Yeah.
that are built will have pour in place. But our existing parks, some of them, while we go through this master plan process, will be maintained with the play fiber.
All right. Do you guys have? So it's made out of wood, right?
It's
wood.
yeah, it's wood,
Alright.
yeah.
Do you guys have a way of like, is it like, oh, take down a tree to make this play fiber? Do you guys are you guys replanting them?
So this fiber essentially kind of wears down, so there's not much left as it wears down. It's almost like a dust. But when it comes new, so it's not recycled material, it's new, it's harvested new. And then it kind of wears out into like a fine dust.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yep,
that's it.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So Ms. Vargas, are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Thank you. So now moving on, if I may, park rangers.
Let's see, get queued up here. All right, there we go. All right, well, good evening. Thank you again. I'm excited to come back and share with you guys an additional ranger update. It's been a few months, I think, since we've done it's actually been several months since we did our last update. And I'm excited to be joined by our park ranger supervisor, Kimberly Reyes. So with that, we'll kind of jump into the presentation, and we're going to split this up. So our current overview of our current ranger program currently exists of one full-time park ranger supervisor, which is Kimberly, seated next to me here. We have a full-time senior ranger, and they are both here during the day, so their primary shifts are during our day shift, and they also assist us on the weekends with special events. We have one part-time senior ranger, and he primarily covers the weekends, so he is here Saturday and Sunday as our senior ranger to kind of provide that coverage. We have 4 part-time rangers that rotate on hours, so they have different rotating shifts, and we do kind of stagger them based on coverage or, demand throughout the year. So when our sports leagues are active, time changes, summer, special events, when our splash pads open. So we do stagger that coverage. We have 4 park ranger trucks that we utilize. They are wrapped, so they are very identifiable. They have the light bar and say park ranger on them, so you may see them throughout the parks. And our park ranger station is located in City Hall, and that's where our rangers come in when they start their shift, and in their shift, they do their logs there. They can check their emails, they grab their radios, and everything they might need for the day. So that's the current overview of the program. We're gonna kind of get into some of the weeds and logistics of it, and I'm gonna turn it over to Kimberly for that.
How do you contact the park ranger? Park rangers are contacted through the PD non-emergency number. We utilize radios so we can be able to have direct contact with dispatch if needed. Where will you see us? You're gonna see us in the parks, sporting events, picnic shelter reservations. We check in when they arrive and when they leave, so we can make sure we could clean up any mess that's been left behind. You'll see us in our green belts and Mountain Gate and special events that the city holds, volunteer events. I've seen a couple of you guys there. And we've been starting to do some of the job fairs, career days with some of the local schools in the city. Another thing that we do is we provide educational advisements and talk to the public. We greet visitors and provide informational materials to everyone. We educate users and enforce park rules, and we explain to them why we're enforcing rules. A lot of people have been in the city for a long time, so they're not used to it. So we're explaining why it's important not to have a dog off leash and the importance of picking up after your dog. We perform park maintenance and trash pickups. Sometimes we go to a park and we see a mess there, so we'll just take care of that so it doesn't become a bigger issue. And we engage with park visitors. A lot of people come to us because we're new, ask us a lot of questions, how to get a hold of us, describe some of the issues that they're having. And we assist the community service special events, obviously. Our enforcement duties, we patrol and monitor their parks and the trail sites. We've been having some of the rangers go out to some of the local trailheads such as Skyline to inspect the trails and follow up on issues and complaints that we've been having from the public. We also perform some minor animal control duties. Sometimes we'll pick up deceased animals that we'll find, and we collaborate with animal control if we find a live animal that's been running around, and we'll drop them off there if we need to. We also work with local sports parks, sports leagues and organizations to provide support, as well as, anything that someone come by if they want. We provide flora and fauna pamphlets so we can be able to give some of that information out there and what's local in the area. And we also have been assisting the school resource officers for the local schools for issues that they've been having after school to prevent some of the fights that have been going on.
Alrighty, and then just kind of look at some statistics here. So for our last year, we responded to just almost 1,400 calls for service. That included property checks. So these are calls that are either initiated by residents calling into our non-emergency line, or self-initiated if it comes from our parks maintenance staff. Sometimes we have some sheltered folks, or they might see an issue going on within the park that would be suitable for a ranger to respond to. So they have been definitely active. We also posted 589 picnic reservations, so they do go out. If the reservation's on a Saturday, they're going to go out that Friday or that morning of, post a picnic shelter notification. And then same thing Saturday into Sunday for those reservations. And as Kim mentioned, they do go back around in between reservations and check and make sure that the shelter is suitable for the reservation and the resident that's going to be utilizing that shelter. The other thing that we started utilizing them for is some of our key areas where we've seen, again, some of our unsheltered folks potentially, especially with the cold, living in or, spending the night in some of our restrooms or staying in there. They do go to those parks at night and lock them. So they've been doing that. They also go to Griffin Park every evening and close the gate at sunset. That is our one park. The park itself doesn't close at night. It does have the same hours, but the parking lot does close at sunset. So that way, kind of keep some of that nefarious activity from occurring up at the park. Wrong button. So what's next for our Rangers? So we're going to be expanding our education program with the Rangers, partnering with the library, partnering with the school district, and just, kind of expanding some of the education both internally and also out on the trails. We'll be doing reading with a ranger at the library. We're going to be hopefully this summer partnering with the library and joining with them for on-the-go days out in the parks. So as our program expands to on-the-go, our rangers will be there just to, interact with the kids, help them doing whatever kind of crafts or coloring or whatever activity they may have going in the park that day. Our rangers will be there just to kind of, engage with the kids and have some fun with them. We'll be expanding that flora and fauna thing that we're doing. And that'll be actually up at our trailheads. We're going to be doing some trailhead standards. So as residents come to use our trails, and we're expanding that into our trails master plan, it'll identify the plants and the animals that you might see along our trails. So, what kind of trees, what kind of seasonal things you might see, what kind of animals might be out during the types, different times of the season. Be careful for snakes and that kind of stuff. And it will also be the big one that we're excited about. It's going to take a little bit of legwork, but we're excited to get the process started, is the creation of a Ranger Academy with some of our surrounding agencies. We've been working with Riverside County Parks to start the conversation on creating a standardized academy. So similar to how police would go through academy, our rangers would go through an academy as we hire them on. And that way, all of our rangers are kind of learning the same type of thing. We'll be able to collaborate with the other surrounding agencies on issues and practices that they may be utilizing that we can all piggyback off of. And that way, I think we'll have a more uniform delivery and standardized policies across the board. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we're at with our Ranger program. And we just wanted to provide this information for you as an update. We'll be taking this to the Spring Financial Workshop to provide them an update as well. And if you have any questions for us, we're available for that.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez and your team. As always, it's a fantastic presentation. Before I ask others to speak, I met Kimberly here at Griffin Park, and I walked away just excited about the program. Park rangers are awesome. I mean, you look at other cities, what they offer, they're all like flatlanders. We have terrain, we have boulders, we have paths, probably have poison oak somewhere, but that's all fun stuff. But I learned a lot about the program from her, but I'll get back to that in a second. I want to pass it on to Commissioner Wentworth.
All right, thank you for that report. I just want to, I'll start with a question. Do we have signs in the park yet with the dispatch number that people can call? Or is there informational signs?
So we're actually making little cards right now that we're printing them that we're going to be able to hand out to our leagues. We can also put some signage up that will allow residents. We're going to start by handing out those multi-fold cards, kind of almost summarizes some of this stuff. And it'll have that information. We want to definitely get it out to our sports leagues since they're the ones that are out there in the evening and sometimes kind of experience like rogue use or people that won't get off the field. So we're passing those things out, and we can definitely get signage out in the parks as well.
Is this something we're looking to incorporate in the Parks Master Plan with improved signage, this information?
We're looking to incorporate improved signage throughout our park system as a part of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So one thing we want to find is that right balance between providing all the information that you need when you're at the park and not creating sign pollution so that the park itself then no longer feels like a park. It feels like a barrage of signage and information. So we will have standards that will be created through the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which will talk about what you can expect with regard to signage, as well as amenities in your park and what the Corona standard is for what you should expect in the park. But there are lots of ways, and including the police dispatch number. We do have our park rules sign, and it does have the police dispatch number on that, but we don't have a unique sign that says, you know, if you need assistance, please call this number. We can definitely do that. We always want them to call police dispatch, regardless of who comes out, whether that's a police officer or a ranger. If you're having any trouble in any of our parks, please call police dispatch, and they will get the right person and the closest person out to the park to you.
Okay, I was just wondering if you were considering on some of the, like gazebo rentals to have, since the ranger program's valuable in the permit process, if there was any small signs we were putting on there about issues with permit, call this number for the park rangers.
Yeah, so on the permit that they post the
Yeah.
day before, that number is on there.
It is, okay, good, thank you. And then I just want to say that I really did enjoy the trail cleanup this weekend, and I was in Miss Kimberly's group, and she did a great job speaking, and I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, and I know we've talked about this, the Rangers expanding some trail hikes. Miss Kimberly's has a wealth of information for everybody, and she even went in so far as to explain Cowboy Cologne, which went over really well with all the participants. So anyway, Cowboy Cologne is naturally occurring sage that grows, and it smells very fragrant, and it's just coming back now from the winter. And I didn't realize the cowboys use that as something to freshen up with because they didn't shower for a long time. I'm just used to walking by it, picking it up, rubbing it, smelling the sage, and it smells great. So now I know I can use it as a cologne. I might bottle that, I don't know. But I learn a lot, and I'm really appreciative of the Rangers, and I love this program. I think it's something that's been missing from the city for a long time. I think we've had a long span without the ability to kind of reinforce our rules that we put into the city and we put into place for the residents. And we haven't had the easiest time in the city responding to some of the residents' concerns. And the Rangers definitely step in and fill this gap. So I really appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wentworth. Before we move on with other commissioners, I got overexcited again. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
Are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written
Okay,
comments.
thank you. With that being said, Commissioner Kinney?
Once again, thank you for the presentation. I just am kind of curious, is the Rangers, are you tied in at all with the city's C-Click Fix app? Is there any appropriate use of that to have those kind of, the reports get sent to the Rangers? Because I don't know what people are clicking. I'm sure they're clicking everything. You probably get reports on just about, I just was curious.
Yeah, so we do actually get all the C-Click fixes, and then we do filter them out based on, whether it's a maintenance need or an enforcement need, and we utilize the Rangers for some of those reports.
I would like to just say for the public that if you have a problem in a park, C-Click Fix is not the best tool to use, nor is email. So if you're currently in the park, you're somewhere and something's going on and you need some help, calling the non-emergency number and getting a hold of dispatch is the best way for us to be helpful to you. It's really challenging for us sort of after the fact if you send an email or something like that, because while we can commiserate with you, we can't stop whatever the issue was that was happening. So we really want to be proactive in that, and so we really want to encourage everyone to call that non-emergency police number. So you can call the number and then you select the main number for the police department, non-emergency, and then you select option 2, and that will get you to a dispatcher and they'll get somebody out to you.
Thank you so much for the report. I had one question in terms to, you guys said you assist school resource officers before and after school. Can you walk me through that process? Is that a process that you guys initiate, or is that something that the school resource officer will call you and ask you for assistance. I just think that it's probably for us to be intentional about, approaching a minor. He or she could be just hanging out at the park, off, having that day off of school. I just want to know what that looks like, just to prevent any sort of issues in the future.
So Commissioner Veretti, I'm just going to jump in here and take a point of privilege. So at this point, the relationship with the school resource officers is only to support them at their request. We have also been, we have some relationships with some schools where dismissal, students are walking through the park, or they're walking through an area that may not be the safest place for them to be walking to get to the bus stop or to get to their parent that's picking them up. We want to facilitate those things. We are not, our ranger program is not a law enforcement program, and we are not there to do that. We are there to assist, to educate, and to make sure that people get safe passage from the school through the park to who's ever picking them up or to the bus stop to get them home.
Perfect. Thanks for the clarification.
Vice Chair?
Thank you for the presentation to both of you, and terrific questions from my fellow commissioners. On the educational opportunities, what would you classify as maybe your top 2 or 3 educational opportunities in the parks?
Being able to engage the public with our local flora and fauna. We have these beautiful hillsides that a lot of people don't even know what's out there. So some of the things that I've been able to do is do some tabling and bring out some pelts and some skulls and some prints and engage with the public and have them touch it safely rather than out in the wild. Also talk to them about what's in the parks. Most of the time, people are so focused on, I'm going to go play basketball when there's quail right there.
That's cool. I appreciate the passion that you have for the role. It's impressive. You wear a lot of hats. I'm hoping that maybe you can add pushing my kids on the swings of the park, because that's all I do for an hour straight. I would really appreciate that if we could work that out. In terms of enforcement duties, I imagine those are also kind of educational opportunities, right? Because we're not really a law enforcement program. What kind of stuff would you say requires the most correction out in the park?
So they are PCA 32 trained, so they can write a citation or infraction. Our go-to always is, obviously educate them on, they may not even know what they may be doing wrong or that they're, breaking a rule. And some of it's like rogue use, they don't even know they need a permit to be out there. They thought they were just doing a pickup game. But some of the more obvious ones that, you may see us write an infraction for us, if you have somebody parked in a handicap spot repeatedly without a proper placard, they're going to issue a citation for that. So those are the kind of infractions that you'll see us writing.
Gotcha. No, like consistent issues at the park, like, blow up bouncies or things like that consistently.
Again, that'll be kind of that education piece. So, if we see the parents out there with just, the cupcakes and punch, with grandma, we're not going to shut that down. But if we get there and we see the taco guy and they got the jumpers and they got the generator and there's the parking lot's full, or there's alcohol present, then those are the things that they're going to engage and be like, hey, we need to shut this down. We can't write you infraction. You need to, this is not a permitted type event.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Kinney kind of hinted at this. Thinking about the LEAF program with the QR code, would there be an opportunity there to use that as a launching point? There's a landing page that says "Get help now," right, and it prompts a call right from the phone. Like it rings the number directly, and then there's maybe a link into C-Click Fix for something that doesn't, for a maintenance issue, and another link that says, "Hey, just give us feedback on the park." You think maybe there's an opportunity for something like that?
There's so many opportunities with those leaves. We're really excited about the possibilities. So as we use them now for the master plan, we're already planning all kinds of ways to use them in the future, but those are great suggestions.
Cool. You mentioned kind of a program to collaborate with others in terms of a program to partner with community members as a boot camp, if you will. I'm seeing the scouts here. I'm wondering if there's a possibility to collaborate there. That seems like kind of a natural fit for
So the
something like that.
So the collaboration is actually going to be with our other partner ranger, surrounding agencies like Riverside County Parks, Orange County Parks, City of Riverside. So we'll be actually partnering with their rangers, but definitely we'd also like to expand to a volunteer ranger program. And that's where, once we build that program out, we could definitely look at, expanding to our residents.
One of the real benefits of a volunteer ranger program is just the innate nature of having somebody trained up who you can hire. And we're always sensitive about getting people to be hired. Really successful volunteer ranger programs get people, particularly young people, who are really interested in being rangers but have absolutely no experience. They come in, they get that experience as a volunteer ranger, and then when they are looking for employment, they're ready to go right into your ranger program as an employed ranger.
Fantastic. And looking forward, what would you say is the biggest unmet need out there today in terms of the ranger program and what we'd like to do if we had all the money in the world?
Let's talk.
Yeah.
I think what we'd like to do is, this program has so much potential to grow. I'd like to see it expand to having more rangers on the ground. We'd love to get some more full-time positions if we can get it, if the timing's right and we get to that point. But that's where I'd really like to get to where our rangers are, kind of the face of our maintenance program, and they're out there assisting from maintenance programs to cleanups on the trails, basically just everywhere you just see them everywhere.
And I see him quite a bit, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll close this section by saying I love the idea of collaboration with other agencies, and I applaud you for all this tonight. It's fantastic. It reawakens the whole spirit within me. And then more importantly than me, though, is the education days with rangers, reading with the ranger at the library. It's exciting. Joining on the Go for Ranger Days in the parks, education around flora and fauna. Love that stuff. And then the creation of Park Ranger Academy. I want to see this at CPRS in April. If you don't know, April's a CPRS event going on in San Diego, and it's going to be fantastic to see you there. With that being said, our next topic of conversation is Community Mural Project.
So management analyst 2 Viola Vam will be presenting our community mural project. This is something that's new this year. We're really excited to have you see what we've done with the mural project, and I will let Viola take it away.
All right. Good evening, Chair Munoz and members of the commission. As Director Turner mentioned earlier, we've got a lot going on, and we have lots of public art projects taking place here at the city of Corona, such as, I'm going to put a plug in, our Canvas on the Curb, which is through our Public Works Department, where we have also a pilot program going with a goal to wrap 7 traffic signal boxes around our city. Tonight, however, I am excited to bring before you our community mural project, our pilot program in Corona's Parks submission selection. So here we go. We are asking the Parks and Recreation Commission tonight to provide feedback on the community mural project submissions and narrow our selections down to 3 submissions. A little quote I would like to share. Great things are done by a series of small things brought together, quoted by Vincent van Gogh. And this is precisely the goal of the mural project. Our project seeks to bring together our Corona community by showcasing our local Corona artists by creating a mural at one of our city's parks and a promenade, to be exact. As well as incorporating our volunteers, of course, and engaging our community through displays of vibrant public art that embodies Corona's rich diversity and history. And of course, this all ties into our city's strategic plan via Goal 5, which is sense of place. During our call for artists back in December of last year, we provided guidelines and criteria to the community to adhere to in the application process for the community mural project. The program selection process is as follows. The Parks and Recreation Commission will narrow down to 3 artists tonight and will provide your feedback to the artists. The Parks and Recreation Commission selections will go to City Council, and our City Council will narrow down to 2 artists. And finally, our community will conduct the public voting to select the final mural for Promenade Park. And our eligibility requirements for our artists are as follows. It was open to Corona artists 16 years and older. The timeline of the phases of installation must be included within the application, and it has to outline the incorporation of our city's volunteers, and the artists who will be considered for the artwork will be notified. And of course, we have some clear do's and don'ts for our artwork. Some of our, of course, things that we embrace, family-friendly artwork, the use of bright colors, incorporating Corona's heritage, parks and events and landmarks in the theme, building community and highlighting Corona's cultural diversity, and utilizing images of nature, inspirational, imagery and beauty. And of course, we're encouraging everyone to be original, innovative, and have fun while doing this. We don't want to see any profanity or violent images, advertising businesses, political views, or religion, or utilizing copyrighted or trademarked imagery, or defamation, or invading the rights of any person or group, living or dead. Now, this is where the fun begins. This is where we need your help tonight. So you will find before you on the dais, Ruby has placed the Community Mural Project Commission input form for you to reference and fill out. It's a 2-pager. And tonight, we have 4 submissions that met the basic criteria, and I will walk you through each one and give you a brief summary about the artists. You will then rank each artist from 1 to 3, 1 being that they met the criteria best. We will also ask that you provide your comments on that form for each artist. Questions to keep in mind are, did the artist meet the city's criteria? Did the artist adhere to a Corona theme? Does the artwork provide a creative and original concept? This sheet will need to be returned back to me tonight, and Ruby will be assisting in collecting those at the end of this meeting. You will also collectively make a decision tonight and move the 3 pieces of artwork and the artists onto the next stage in our process to go before the City Council to make their selection. I would like to stress that we are purely assessing the artist's artwork tonight. And if there is something you'd like to see, you are more than welcome to provide your comments on that sheet. And we will mention it to the artist. However, please do keep in mind that the artwork is fully at their discretion. Please rate on what you see before you tonight. And just a little gentle reminder, our mural location is going to be at Promenade Park on the restroom structure. So it's 2 long-sided walls and 2 short-sided walls. And here we go. Artist number 1, Eliseo Silva. They completed 2 murals in the city of Colton, and they are the artists behind the La Sierra Passages 91 Freeway Underpass murals in Riverside, California. They are a contemporary artist, a teacher, and author of Filipinos of Greater Philadelphia. They are known internationally for the Gintong Kasayasan Filipino Town mural, recognized by LA Weekly as one of the 20 iconic murals of Los Angeles. And they're a proud Corona resident since 1994. So you'll see before you the proposed concept honors the city's founders, its rich heritage and legacy as the lemon capital of the world, a cosmopolitan suburban community which also hosted 3 world-class road races. The theme that is identified before you is called Home is Circle City, and it reveals the artist's own journey as a resident of Corona for almost 3 decades, as well as finding a place where they can call home despite the common experience they share with other migrants from distant shores who have to navigate through multiple worlds on a daily basis, yet they always circle back to Corona as the city they now call home. So here are some renderings. And we'll move forward. And this is the other side of the building. All right, artist number 2, Tanya Saman. Tanya has a master's degree in graphic arts and advertising. They have been a Corona resident since 2013, and they've worked on a mural for a theater project. The artist's theme is called The Spirit of Corona and the Coronians, a lively and diverse community. The front of the wall displays bright colors that vibrate the spirit of Corona. The race car, the city building, and the Corona Historic Preservation Center, as well as the orange and orange blossom, describes that the diversity of Corona as far as community and geography is shown on the artwork, and both sides of the wall with harmonious and give a sense of richness that the city has. So that's one side of the rendering, and that would be the second. Okay. Artist number 3, Catherine Duncan. Catherine is a professional painter and instructor with 10 murals in her portfolio. She has fond memories of Promenade Park, and her kids went to school nearby. Each year, she works with 80 to 100 7th graders at Home Gardens Academy to beautify a specific area of their school, and she has worked with adult volunteers to create reproductions of historic Corona area citrus crate labels for the Temescal Valley. She has worked on murals at Bernice Todd Elementary in the city of Corona, DeLeo Regional Sports Park through a grant from the El Cerrito Community Library with the Riverside County Library System. She is also a Corona resident. She plans to bring color and fun to Promenade Park and has incorporated all the fun elements that she has of the park with her family into her art concept for the mural. The title and theme, as she attributes her mural, is simply Welcome to Promenade Park, where you will find a nod to our beautiful city's natural features and history. I'm going to move on to this. She expressed the following activities in the elements on each ribbon. Sports, she's incorporated baseball, basketball, and tennis. Activities, hiking, dog walking, music, and chess. Playing, swings, playgrounds, kites, parties, and celebrations. And Corona, lemon groves, citrus, and birds of paradise. And finally, we have artist number 4, Ryan Nguyen. The artist Ryan Nguyen goes by the name Revel Murals and is a self-taught mural artist. His portfolio consists of work that he has done for the National Wildlife, Google, and Netflix, and the Santa Ana Zoo, to name a few. He has been a Corona resident for over 15 years, and he's attended all the CNUSD schools and graduated from Corona High School in 2014. The artist portrays this theme as life in Corona. The classic car and orange trees are nostalgic to the golden days of the city. The iconic hills represent the park. And next on this slide, here the city's logo is brought to life with color and detail. The baseball player connects and inspires as he hits a home run over the Circle City from the park. And lastly, the youth will be able to connect to their local school's mascot on the back of the building. So what are our next steps? Again, tonight we're asking for our commission's help to narrow down our selections to our 3 artists based upon their artwork submissions. We will provide your feedback to the artists, and we will take the 3 pieces of artwork to council so that they can help us narrow down to 2 pieces of artwork. And finally, we will be asking our Corona community for help in a public voting and ask that they select the final mural artwork for Promenade Park. This concludes our presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Van. Appreciate it very much. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
Are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Wentworth?
I don't have any questions at this time, so I will just wait until we go to discuss the murals.
Commissioner Kinney?
Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of things that just need clarifying because I'm not really sure of the process. So as far as when they go to put the murals on, are they all going to be done the same way? Is it same media? Is it going to be paint or some of them look like photographs? Are they going to be, I'm just trying to, was there guidelines on how the murals would need to be applied, or is that going to be kind of the artistic license that they would have? And then when they were doing some of the murals over at DeLeo down in Temescal Valley, that was, it was open to the public to help come and actually put those murals up and paint, and it was like a volunteer opportunity. And I don't know if that is something that the artists have talked about, or if that's something that anybody even considered. So I was just looking for a little bit of information on that.
Of course. So in their application, it's again up to the artist's discretion. They could use whatever type of media, paints, and they've included that in their application, what they would be using. So that's totally up to their discretion. Obviously, as staff, we would kind of help them out because we do have a budget for it. So we're leaving it up to the artist. And regarding the artists that had the artwork, how they referenced Temescal Valley, they provided photos and they provided kind of a short description of exactly what they did during that time. Okay.
Additionally, Commissioner Kinney, they have been asked to use paint, so we don't want anything that is rolled on or any kind of wrap That's not what we're looking for. And there is specifically in the application that they have agreed to use volunteers at some point in the process. It won't be that the volunteers will paint the entire mural, but there will be an opportunity for volunteers to help paint.
That sounds great, and I'm glad that was some clarification on the paint. I would think that we want some longevity out of this, and that's great information. Thank you.
And we will be providing, as the city, graffiti coatings over the murals. So once the murals are up, we will use a product that we use in our parks to coat the mural, so that if anybody draws on it with markers or anything like that, that we can get that easily off without damaging the mural.
I have 0 questions.
Commissioner Olson?
My questions have been answered. Thank you.
And same for me.
So now if the commission wants to discuss amongst themselves any of the murals or mural selections, or they want any assistance from Ms. Van, she's here to provide that. Otherwise, you have in front of you both the printout of the presentation that she just gave and your scoring sheet. And all we're asking you to do tonight is do your scoring sheet and return that to Ms. Van so that she can go ahead and narrow that down based upon your votes tonight to the 3 artists that will be moving forward to the City Council.
Well, with that being said, Commissioner Wentworth?
Okay, I guess I'll reveal my scoring sheet first. All right. My artist number 1 selection was Ms. Silva. I think she embraced the history and tells a story with a vibrancy and detail that was exceptional and kind of out, in my mind, it kind of outdid the other murals. So I picked that one as number 1. My second artist was Miss Duncan. I love the colorful flow that she had with the colors wrapping around the whole building, and I could see all the thematic things within those colors, and it kind of flowed. I liked that. And I loved her little nod to the citrus label industry in Corona on that Welcome to Promenade Park. I had a really hard time. I wouldn't be upset if either one of these were flip-flop for number 1 or number 2. It's almost like a tie in my mind. I think they're both really great. I really enjoyed Ms. Simons as well. I love the simple embrace of the city mission and the images that she chose. I think they really reflect the city. And Mr. Nguyen, also very hard to select. I really enjoyed this mural and liked it because I just love the simplicity and the clear theme in the mural. It's not busy like the other ones. It's just very clear, something that you could see from farther away. So, each one of these has their own, I don't know, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but each one of these kind of has their own talent and brings their own view of the city, and they're outstanding for all different reasons. So it's hard to select, but that's how I narrowed it down.
Commissioner Kinney?
This is a really, really sucky, tough job. 'Cause
Someone has to do it.
someone has to do it. They're all good, and I really want to thank the people that submitted. I know there was a large call. I saw it several times looking for people to put in their submissions, and so I give everybody credit that did that and spent the time working on putting something. They're all great, in my opinion. I would actually, what order did I have that in? I did 1, 2, 4, 3, and the only reason why, no, I didn't. I'm so confused.
Maybe just say
I know, okay. So I put my first one was Artist Silva as well. It was just, I can't even believe somebody's going to be able to paint that, and I like that it kind of blended the history along with some landscape, and it kind of all wove together. And then my next one would be Artist Duncan. I like the packing label as well and the bright colors. Although all the balls bouncing make me a little nervous. Like I wanted to go pick them all up, put them away. But it was fun, and I think that the kids would like that, and they'll be able to, see all theirs. And then I picked Artist Union as my number 3, actually, because once I explained what those, I didn't understand what the animals were, but when they're the local school mascot, I thought that was kind of neat. For me, the second one was more like if we were going to save that, I would want to save that label to have something to do more with the historic civic center or something rather than a park, because I don't really see the tie to parks as much as the tie to the history of the city. And so that was why I ranked them that way.
Okay, so my ranking is artist 2. Is it Tanya? I liked that one because it was sometimes less is more for me personally. I just liked that it was sleek. It had really cool colors. My second artist was Alicio. This artwork is great. I'm not a fan of the Merrill and the rest of the guys. Not a fan of that. But overall, I think that's like an excellent piece. And then my third was Ryan, and I think that that one's awesome too. I just think that also too we probably might need to. Those animals represent the local high schools, correct? So I think that we left out. Isn't Santiago? Shouldn't there be a shark in there somewhere? So I didn't go to Santiago. It's not an issue for me, as long as the Huskies in there. But that might be an issue for them. So that's all I got.
Vice Chair.
I really was not looking forward to this process. This is the hardest thing, honestly. I actually went out to Promenade Park over the weekend to just kind of see it, right, to see how these pieces would fit into the actual place, and that was very important to me, right, because they're all terrific. I would love to see any of these pieces, honestly. They're all terrific, so thank you for these artists who submitted these, and thank you for presenting them to us. But my ranking is, number 1, I had Catherine Duncan. I thought that had the best synergy with the actual place that it exists while incorporating the greater community. I love the label, and I love the whimsy and kinetic energy of the park, right? The park has so much, right? It's got baseball, it's got basketball, it's got tennis, it's got passive use, it's got all the stuff, right? So I thought that was a great representation of that place. Number 2, I had Tanya Simon. Again, I like the clean look of it. I could see it resonating with its place where it exists, and I like the nod to the city motto. Number 3, I had, Mr. Nguyen. Love the clean, flat look, and can envision this in this place. Again, I love the whimsy, but again, I'd be thrilled with any of them. Honestly, they're great.
Fantastic, thank you. On my vote, I voted Alicio Silva, number 1. It captures the history of Corona, iconic images, the vibrancy of color, personality and movement, all within it, captured all that. Number 2 was Catherine Duncan. Number 3 was Ryan Nguyen. And number 4 was Tanya Simon.
Thank you, Commissioners. That was really helpful for us. If you would just mind putting your ballots in the folder, we will pick them up from you after the meeting. And thank you very much, Ms. Van, for an excellent presentation.
Exactly. At this time, Commission members are being asked to provide some reports and comments. And so we'll start with Commissioner Wentworth.
Okay, thank you. What an excellent meeting, you guys. Thank you. It's really exciting, those murals. I like that. I just want to say that I really had a great time at the tree planting at Griffin Park last month, and the city is just doing a phenomenal job improving our parks and planting trees everywhere. I'm really looking forward to the Tree-tacular next month as well. I think Commissioner Kinney and I threw our backs out last year at the last one, and then we would just watched our husbands do all the work after we decided that was enough. So I really appreciate the pre-dug holes. That makes it a lot easier just to finish that up. So if any of you are wanting to come, don't worry, the holes are pre-dug. You just need to finish it a little way, get the tree out of there, finish putting the dirt back in, kind of making a little well for the tree. It's really not that hard, and you can move on to the next tree. So it's not as labor intensive as the first one, so I appreciate that. The trail cleanup I thought was a huge success. I think Skyline had, oh my gosh, probably the most people I had seen on that trail in quite some time. That weekend, the weather was just phenomenal. There was literally nowhere to park. The cars were backed all the way back up, almost to Border, up the hill. They were as far as they could go towards Lincoln until parking was prohibited. And so I ended up parking in a neighborhood. There's no parking in the neighborhood by the trail, by the way, but a neighborhood down off of Chase and walking up the flood control channel myself and getting up there that way. And I noticed there were several cars down there already, so more cars than we could count. So I think that if that's any indication of the future growth of the city and the popularity of this area, our park rangers have their work cut out for them, you know, keeping this place up with our trail markers and just keeping things in control, and then the city with the potential parking issues and crowding that goes on. But the trails are well used, and we hope that our visitors and residents respect that. And I do love, you know, getting out there and cleaning them up. They need that since there's so much activity back there. This month, I just want to give a shout out to OBCT, which is our community theater company, and they put on Man of La Mancha, which was wonderful, and their next performance will be Sweeney Todd. They're having auditions soon, but that will be the next play that they put on, another wonderful performance. And I know that everyone's kind of looking forward to the improvements at the Civic Center, so that will be great. I have invited all the commissioners, but I did buy a table for Ladders and Linguini, so each of you have a seat. And Commissioner Chair Munoz, your wife as well has a seat, so yeah. So we've got that, so we should all be there. Hopefully we'll all be able to make it. And I'm also looking forward to this Thursday's community conversation. Thank you, Commissioner Veretti, for putting that on again this year. Last year was wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. So. And thank you to the pickleball players. I see you guys out there. Next time, fill out a speaker card and come speak during the comments so that we know you're here. It's hard to recognize you in civilian clothing, but I'm pretty sure I see Mike and Alice out there. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Kinney.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry. And I just want to thank the Boy Scouts for coming and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well. Thank you.
I just have a couple quick things to say. One is there's been a little bit more movement on the Butterfield Trail outside of the city limits. And as I've mentioned before, I'm part of the National Park Service working group on that trail. And so I'm hoping to see some more information with that in the Trails Master Plan, even though it's just basically a sign program in the city. There's not really any trails to be built. Hopefully we can get something moving with that, because that would be great. And I was even thinking maybe reaching out to some of the historical societies and seeing if they wanted to sponsor the signs, maybe. We'll see. And then this weekend, I am taking my son to Las Vegas for an international Pokemon Go event at a park. It's at a city park, and they sold tickets. They sold out 50,000 tickets.
My God.
Just like that. And we all have to be there in person at a park. So there's going to be 50,000 people at a park in Las Vegas. I'll report back to see how they tell you, how they manage that. and we talk about parking issues. Sunset Park. Okay. I don't know what I'm in for, but we'll see. 50,000 people. So it might be fun. I don't know. Maybe we need to do something like that. Maybe not. I'll let you know.
Yeah, so I want to Commissioner Wentworth mentioned it, but yeah, please, if you guys have a chance on Thursday, come out. I try not to throw myself any lobs, but it is an event that the city has done excellent putting together. On the panel this year, there's 2 former NFL players. One of the guys is a film director. He's sold 6 movies to Netflix in the last 2 years. Extremely talented, top to bottom, the entire panel. I think it's going to be a great conversation. Black history is American history, and I hope that we were able to bring some people together and challenge and provoke some thought at the same time. So if you guys have time, please come out. Thanks.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the community members who came here tonight. I really appreciate that and your comments, Mr. Fink. And thank you to the Boy Scout troop for kicking it off. I'm looking forward to that in the future. Love the tree at Surface Club Park. The community Facebook groups were buzzing when they said, "Why is there a crane at Surface Club Park? What's going on? Why are they digging a big hole?" And then I said, "This is the tree from the tree lighting," and they thought that was the coolest thing. That is just the coolest tradition. I'm glad to see that. Looks great. It's gonna just right in the right spot to provide some shade for the play structure. So that's awesome. Some time out in the community. I am really seeing some great progress in our public spaces in general, between more trees and more places. I used the restroom at Promenade and was not disappointed. That was great. Kids, they just have to go at the darndest times. And I am really looking forward to this Thursday's community conversations and Ladders and Linguini thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you. Mine are not in any particular order, but again, welcome Danielle Whittington as the newest library manager in Corona. And then I had an opportunity to attend at February 1st, 2nd, the committee of the whole, and there was nothing to do about Parks and Recreation, but opportunity just to see how the city works and works wonderfully well. Each department has a chance to talk and share ideas and maybe argue here and there, either on TV or by phone or just in person. But it's a wonderful, it's welcoming to hear that and see that. It's very warming. But next month I'll look at the agenda like I was told to do before I go and see if there's any Parks and Recreation activities being discussed. But it was fun. Also, let's see. Well, 1 second. Had the opportunity to attend the California Arts Association anniversary here a couple days ago, and it was well attended by Congressman Ken Calvert. His representative was there, and also Supervisor Karen Spiegel was there, and Councilmember Tom Richards was there, and he's really big into history. He's walking around taking photographs of everything he sees that's historical. So, not hysterical, but historical. So he has it's fun talking to him because he's very excited about the arts program, and they're giving free classes to people in the area too. So that's kind of nice to be giving free classes to other potential artists. They may be young and old, but we all can learn. And then, as I mentioned before, I went to Griffin Park, and I'm thankful I met Kimberly there, and she opened my eyes to the homeless. They're there, and it's an unfortunate thing that they're there. And we found a sleeping bag suited for a kid. So, there's families there with kids. I found underwear there, it was my size, so it was maybe too big. But it was all pretty bad. And sweaters and other garbage that's lying on the ground. And, they're out there living where they can. But doing worse than that, though, we found some needles. And I found one needle, and then cartridges for needles that are lying on the ground somewhere. So it's probably haven for that because it's out of the way. But the fact that she's there with other people like herself, rangers, and the city's there, and it's going to really drive people away to, hopefully, with Karen Roper's group on this side of town, being educated and retaught and re-educated. And then, again, I'm looking forward to, on Thursday, being with my friend here. And I'll leave it at that. But tonight was a great meeting. Thank you all for Scouts Troop 34. Great presentations. And I walk away again from Dr. Turner. I'm excited about tomorrow. So thank you very much. With that, we have any announcements? Ann?
No announcements, Chair.
Okay. And I'd like to, anything being discussed further, I'd like to close the meeting at 7:54. Thank you very much.